Well, good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Monday, June 28th, 2021. And our top story today, how did public pensions perform during 2020 and 2021? Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Hank Kim is the Executive Director and Kathy Harrell is the current President for the National Conference of Public Employees Retirement Systems. Kathy, Hank, thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thanks for inviting us, sir.
Absolutely. And this is a really important topic for us. We love talking about public pension plans, in particular pension plans. Hank, I want to start with you. Let's talk about public pension plan performance. Geez, try to say that 3 times really fast. Let's talk about public pension plan performance and how public pension plans held up in 2021 and 2021 at the height of the pandemic.
Yeah, great question, Jeff. And again, let me just reiterate, thanks for having us on. It's a pleasure talking to you and talking with your audience. So as you might imagine, going into 2020, right, in January timeframe, I think there was a lot of bullishness in the market. We thought, the economy was sound. There were late 2019 some reports of a new virus strain, but I don't think many of us, to pay too much attention to it. And then obviously the world changed beginning in mid-February. And then I think for most people, the economy just shut down in mid-March. So leading into that second quarter of 2020, the markets were very volatile. There was a lot of loss of paper value, but then surprisingly, the markets had a very sharp V-curve recovery. And so the good news is that for many pension plans, I would say the vast majority of pension plans, as they look to close out the fiscal 2020 or fiscal year 2021 year, the markets have been really good to them. And so I can tell you on one of the pension plans that I sit on as a trustee, the fiscal year ends on June 30th, and we're certainly going to have double-digit returns. It's just a matter of how high that double-digit return is. Having said all that, as Jeff, as you well know, public pension plans, we're long-term investors. We don't ride the highs and we don't get, depressed in the lows. And so overall, we think the fundamentals of the economy look great over the near term, and that's what we're really investing in.
Yeah, thanks for that, Hank. And Kathy, I want to bring you in, and I know I mentioned you were the current president of NCPERS, but I did not mention you're kind of on the vanguard when it comes to leadership roles, both in the state of Ohio, but also you serve as the chairperson for the National Order of Fraternal Police, or National Fraternal Order of Police pension chairman. I want to get your perspective on, maybe as it relates to being a pension trustee, your perspective on the events of 2020 and 2021 and the impact on pension plans.
I think it's I'm from Ohio, of course, so I'm a member of the Ohio Police and Fire Pension Fund. And I also sat on that board as a trustee from 2005 through 2011. And if you just look, like most people think that because of the pandemic that we've really, decreased our assets. However, Ohio Police and Fire, in the last 3 months, we continue to have gone up. We were at like 17.6 billion 2 months ago, and we ended May at $18 billion. So, there were people that were going to think that this pandemic was going to greatly decrease our assets, have a very negative impact on it. But Ohio has seen a gain, I think, which is very good. I think you're seeing that around the country as well.
Well, Kathy, thanks for that insight. Hank, I want to shift gears. Let's talk about things are reopening in many states, and that obviously we're looking forward, doing a little bit more forward looking. What is top of mind for pension trustees like you and Kathy, and also people who are administering public pension plans?
Yeah, so I would say for trustees, what is the new normal in the post-COVID world, right? So what are the new risks? What are the old risks? how is the economy going to rebound? What are the new opportunities within this new economy post-COVID? I think those are sort of the broader questions that trustees as policy setters of pension plans are thinking about. In terms of sort of the administrators of pension plans, I think absolutely those types of concerns, particularly, from staff on the investment side of the shop, so the chief investment officers and all their employees on that side of the shop. The administrators, I would say they are also focused beyond all the investment side about how pension plans fit in this new work environment, right? I think all the conventional wisdom says that sort of office work is going to be completely different in 2021 and going forward, right, as the economy opens up. So I think pension plan administrators, the executive directors and the CEOs, they're really learning and trying to figure out what is the best solution for their employees and the people that they serve, like Kathy and others.
Yes. Yeah, and Kathy, Hank brings up a really good point. I want to get your perspective on this. Many of us forget that maybe some of these pension administrator staff, they were working remotely. A lot of them are trying to come back to work. Things are starting to reopen. So there's a lot of trying to figure out how to work in a more hybrid environment now. If people are going to be, rotating into the office, how that's going to work, what's the impact going to be to existing governance and operational processes?
I know that's a big concern for a lot of the pension systems, but not just for the workers themselves, but now the members that used to attend the meetings to stay informed. They're older. They tend to be older. They're afraid to actually go out because of their concerns, even though, that they've gotten, the shot or whatever, that if they go out, a lot of them don't want to leave their residences. A lot of them are afraid to get any information unless it's on the internet or actually from a meeting. And a lot of information was lost during the pandemic. That was one of the biggest complaints that we're getting now. And I think it's not just going to be the workers that are actually at the pension system or the administrators, trying to bring them back, within discussions amongst the workers themselves, as far as trying to figure out what's going to be an easier way for them to communicate. It's also how we're going to continue to communicate with our members in a totally different environment to keep them engaged. A lot of them don't have, up-to-date technology. They're not able to take part in a Zoom meeting. They're not able to bring anything up on a laptop or anything. So we're really trying to find ways, and we continue to communicate with the members so they feel like they're still engaged with their pension system and that they still understand what's going on and they're not left behind. And I think it's key for not just the administrators, but also keeping the members of the system actually engaged and involved.
Hey, Jeff, could I just jump on the point that Kathy raised? Yeah, so I think Kathy raises a great point. And, I have conversations with plan administrators regularly since the shutdown in 2020. And, first things, not every single pension plan has, made its payments to the retirees. Even during this crisis, every single retiree got their pension check. I think that's a significant achievement on the public plan side. It shows the nimbleness and the ability to harness technology that public plans have, from the largest pension plans like CalPERS down to smaller municipal employment-based pension plans, so that every single retiree got their pension check. And in some ways, while Kathy raises very good points about some segments of the retired population not getting the information, for the vast majority of retirees, they actually found the remote sort of Zoom, board meetings very helpful. Like, not only the trustees, but just regular members and participants of pension plans, they could easily tune into the Zoom meetings versus in the past where they had to actually go into the boardroom to attend the conference or to attend the regular board meeting. So I think there's sort of trade-offs, but I think on the whole, I think people on the public plan side have all adopted from plan down to the participant.
Yeah, and agreed. And I think a lot of people, people who are a little bit more mature have seen greater use of technology. They're using technology for telehealth. Maybe they're doing cashless payments. I know talking to my parents, they now they know how to text and FaceTime with myself and my brother. So, I think you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, I would say that the members that have had to educate themselves or go out and decide to get a different phone or to get a more updated laptop have greatly benefited from it.
Yeah. Last question for the segment. Hank, I'll start with you. Let's talk about strengthening the financial position of public pensions. You both spoke about the returns that we saw with the return of the market. We've had a little volatility along the way, but hey, you always get a little volatility. Where are we in terms of the strength and position of a lot of these plans?
Yeah, so Jeff, my organization, which Kathy sits as the president or the chair of the board, we've done annual surveys of our membership for the past decade. And what we've consistently seen is that in terms of sustainability of public pension plans, particularly since the great financial crisis, plans have really, tightened down their assumptions, really made changes to both their asset allocation as well as expenses, so that it's paying dividends even through the COVID volatility. So beyond just the return of the 2020 or 2021 that we're seeing, I think just overall, one of the benefits or the silver linings that we came out of the great financial crisis is sort of this tightening of assumptions, which leads to plans, I think having better funding ratios. I mean, obviously there are more than 5,000 state and local pension plans in the United States, so we're not a monolithic group. Having said that, in terms of sort of averages, the average funding status for state and local pension plans, the last survey that we did, which was for 2020, it was around 75%. So not, 100, but I think the trend lines are looking very good.
That's good. Well, guys, I need to take a very quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk to both Hank and Kathy about the defined benefit being the cornerstone or potentially the cornerstone of public sector hiring, and also what we might expect from Congress and interest rate changes. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're talking to Hank Kim and Kathy Harrell of the National Conference of Public Employees Retirement Systems. Hank, Kathy, thanks so much for staying with us this morning.
No problem. Thank you very much for the invite.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Great to talk public pension. Kathy, let's talk about the importance of the public sector defined benefit plan. In your estimation, and we'll get Hank's in a minute, but in your estimation, does it still remain the cornerstone, the rock of all public sector hiring?
It definitely does. I can tell you, I was hired as a Cincinnati police officer in 1987, and one of the things that actually made me be more interested in becoming a police officer and looking at the pay and my benefits was the fact that I was a member of a union, that was a member of a pension system, that I knew that when I was done that I would have a pension, would be able to take care of me and my family, hopefully for the rest of my life. I know as a union president for the Cincinnati Police Department, for the Cincinnati FOP, we would meet with a lot of the recruits, or we would work with a recruiting unit. They would put that in a lot of their brochures, and we would really, press that to people that we were looking at hiring, the importance of having that defined benefit. And I can tell you that 99% of the people that I represent and I talk to, one of their main reasons for being confident in the job that they did and being protected and having that pension was one of the main reasons that they did sign up in the public sector. And I think it's huge.
Yeah.
Probably one of the number one things.
Yeah, thanks for that, Kathy. And Hank, I read stories about maybe there's been a shift in the retirement system. It's a lot harder to find public safety officers, a lot harder to fill some of these important administrative roles within the public sector. In your estimation, is it still the bedrock by which benefits in the public sector are measured?
Yeah, I would say after salary, most public employees look at the pension benefits to figure out what the total compensation will be, or currently looks like. And Jeff, I use that word total compensation deliberately because the pension is part of compensation. And Kathy, would know better than I would, but as employees negotiate with states, counties, and cities for their salary and benefits, the contributions that the city or the department would put towards pension plans certainly gets factored into whether the police officer or the firefighter or the teacher will get a raise that year, right? So it's very much part of compensation. Beyond that, what is really unique in the public plan space is that the benefit that ultimately comes to the retirees after 30 years of service, like Kathy has in Cincinnati, is Kathy, over the last 30 years, has also been making payments to the pension plan, right? So it's not just the contribution from the city of Cincinnati in her case. Kathy has been making, on a regular basis, per payroll, making contributions into her own pension. So by no means is this any sort of gratuity or free money. This is something that Kathy and the 20 million other state and local employees like her have been making over the past 30 years or so.
And Kathy, one of the things that we've been talking about, we talk a lot about the mental health, the impact of the pandemic on mental health. One of the important things that I've noticed is your financial wellness, your ability to pay your bills, receive a regular check, whether it's the pension check that you're due as a retiree or you're waiting for compensation in terms of salary. That mental health really can be predicated on receiving a benefit like a defined benefit plan. So it really, that financial wellness is really a big part of someone's productivity, someone's ability to do a good job for their local government, their state.
That is absolutely true. The fact that they know that that pension is there, and as Hank said, you know, when we do negotiate wages, that's part of it. The fact that we do contribute to our own pensions and the money that's put into it, and the officers, their emotional stability has a lot to do with knowing that because of the pension, because of the union, that they know that next week that they're going to still have a job, that if they decide that they didn't want to leave, when they're able to leave with age and service, that all the money they put in over their whole career will be there for them. And I think that's probably number two, and what they look at in coming a public safety servant, whether it be police or fire. But definitely the pension is number one. And then they look at it as a mental health issue. You know, when it comes to PTSD and other things, knowing that if they do have any kind of an issue, that they will be taken care of, that their pension system will be there for them.
Jeff,
go ahead, Hank.
Sorry, Jeff. Yeah, I just wanted to jump on that point about stability, right? That, you know, beyond the stability and the peace of mind that pensions brings to employees and retirees, it also brings stability to the state, the county, and the city. So we have research that literally shows that for the vast majority of states, I think it's 46 states, that the tax revenue generated by the pension plan from either the pensioners going out and spending their monthly pension checks or the investments that the pension plans make and the tax revenue generated from that, that those two combined and the tax revenue derived from those two combined expenditures, that for 46 states, that the state makes into the pension plan. So it's actually an economic stimulus or a tax revenue stimulus for the vast majority of states.
Thanks, Hank and Kathy. Last question, Hank, I'll start with you. And it's kind of a double question here, so it could have been a little longer answer is fine. But we've seen a lot of movement in the Congress. We had some support for multi-employer pensions recently. When you look at, you know, we just went through the CARES Act. There's been some discussion at the federal level around Secure 2.0. What might we see? You're in Washington D.C., or at least you come to Washington D.C. regularly. What might we see in terms of regulation and legislation related to public sector defined benefit plans, if any?
So we don't anticipate any legislation at the federal level regarding state and local pension plans. The reason for this is state and local pension plans, we are creatures of state and local government. We are governed by state and local laws, not by the federal law that governs retirement, ERISA. So we're very unique in that way. So unlike the private sector where retirement benefits and health benefits are governed by ERISA, public pension plans are not. And so therefore, we really don't have that much of a federal profile. And so we would, in fact, view any legislation from the federal government as encroachment on states' rights or the ability of states to essentially govern their own retirement policy.
Well, thanks for that clarification, Hank. And I guess just as a follow-up, I mean, we've seen a lot of the states. Let's talk about the states for a second. We've seen a lot of the states, Oregon, California, Maryland, Illinois. There are others. I know I'm leaving out. No need to write. It's not a preference list, but there are a lot of states that are stepping up with some of these auto IRA program systems to try to address people who don't have access. This is another way that we've seen the public sector kind of step up to provide a benefit maybe when there wasn't one offered by the current employer.
Yeah, so that's exactly right. And I'm very proud to say that NCPERS had a significant role in the seeding of this concept in the three original states of California, Oregon, and Illinois. And as you said, there are number of other states that have since jumped on the bandwagon. And I think the number is up to like 14, 15 jurisdictions who've either are in some phase of implementation or an enactment of such auto IRA laws. So, back in 2010, again, as we were sort of collectively, easing away from the crater that was the great financial crisis, we at NC PERS said, beyond the devastation of the immediate economic and joblessness that the GFC created, we know down the road that even prior to 2008, 2009, that retirement was a crisis waiting to happen. And we were just tired of waiting for the federal government to take some action. And we actually felt like, as creatures of state and local government, and being, having a 150-year history of public sector pension plans at the state and local level, doing the job of providing retirement security, we felt that we had some expertise and that there was a model that we as a nation could take to alleviate the retirement crisis in the private sector. And so hence we, in 2011, published our Secure Choice white paper, which fortuitously got into the hands of some great policymakers at the state level. And that's what got sort of the ball rolling. It was just a fortuitous timing of our thought and sincere innovation and desire to move something forward at the state level that's gotten to us where we are.
Yeah, Kathy, I've got about a minute left, but I want to come to you because many police and firefighter emergency personnel, they might retire early and may work in the private sector, and having access to a retirement plan, even though they're getting a defined benefit plan, having access to a retirement plan to save a little bit more after they retire from public service, that's a good thing as well. So these state plans will benefit them too.
Yes, it definitely will. And when NCPERS first put out the paper in reference to Secure Choice, I actually presented it to the National FOP at a conference and explained it to our memberships and the importance of it. And a lot of it was about, once it's got implemented, that the biggest and most important thing is that all Americans have a right to a pension. And that's what's very, very important, that everyone feels that they can have a pension, and we're attempting to get that done. And our membership really looks forward to, when they do retire, going somewhere they can get an additional compensation. It does make them feel more secure, of course.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to leave it there. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. Kathy Harrell and Hank Kim, thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning, and we look forward to having you both back very soon.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the information in retirement markets, technology, personal finance, so much more, all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. We're back again tomorrow, so until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Are you being audited, and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.